Kevin.
Rebecca.
Now comes the Readathon.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Now comes...
Oyez. Oyez.
The defendant, Karen Reed, by and through undersigned counsel, and hereby respectfully submits this second supplemental motion in support of her motion to dismiss.
Supplemental motions.
Guess why?
Let me guess. A fifth juror has finally come forward.
Yes, so embarrassing. Remember yesterday I was like, I hear talk of a fifth juror. I have no idea where that's coming from.
You just
so
knew.
Embarrassing, right?
Feel like you know things that you're not telling the people.
Yes, I'm withholding information.
You're holding back on the people.
It's so embarrassing. So the affidavit is what it is, but there is in fact an Alan Jackson affidavit attached to this, which is of course standard. So here's what the Alan Jackson's affidavit says. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so after the whole, here's who I am and what I do for a living part of it. On Wednesday, July 17th, so this would be 2 days ago, I was contacted by juror E, true name and identity withheld to maintain anonymity. Based on my conversation with juror E and that juror's physical description of himself, herself, where that juror was seated and that juror's name and occupation, which was also disclosed during voir dire, I was able to positively identify juror E. Yada, yada, yada. Juror E decided to contact me to provide information about the results of the jury's decision-making deliberations. The juror E explained that the jury was unanimous on 1 and 3 and that Karen Reed was not guilty on those charges. So then it basically says... Juror E indicated that she was happy to provide such information, but wished to remain publicly anonymous. So once again, the motion to dismiss says that a retrial on counts 1 and 3 would be a violation because it would be double jeopardy. So we have a fifth juror now approaching the defense. And as I said yesterday, we do not know that these jurors have not, or some of them have not also approached the prosecution, but we do know that the defense is, basically substantiating their motions based on the fact that she potentially could have been acquitted or was acquitted, but not being given the opportunity to say that she was acquitted. The jurors weren't on motions, the second degree murder count and the driving away from the scene of the death count. So, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I doubt that 5 jurors are lying about what happened in there, because if it was 11-1, well, juror 1 is going to jump out and say, no, this is bullshit. So, I mean, I think I think there's little doubt that that's where they came. I mean, it's just still trying to figure out, is there a situation, sort of an analogous situation where there can be a mistrial declared during deliberations that has nothing to do with what's happening with the jury.
Yeah.
Right? So then... I don't know. The juror attacks the judge. I should say that the defendant does something. I can't think of an example, and maybe people who've been to law school can say, oh yeah, how about this? But something where you could say, okay, separate from what's happening inside the jury room, something has occurred, and we must declare this a mistrial. And that the jurors, if they stepped out, they said, but when you did that, we had already voted in here to acquit, but we didn't get a chance to say that. Well, does that count and that become double jeopardy? So I think in that case maybe not, but I just I mean, you know where I am on this. I mean, it just seems like it's quite obvious that she was, if the judge had gone through the proper checklist for dismissing the jury, that would have been known, and she would have been acquitted on 2 of the 3 charges. It
seems like an unlikely argument that they'll win, but it does seem like the right thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Okay, second thing I wanted to mention is that in yesterday's Readathon, we mentioned that Judge Bev Cannone has extended indefinitely the impoundment order to not release the jury's names, right? Mm-hmm. I have now read the affidavit of Juror Doe, which prompted this. The affidavit is quite lengthy and cites a bunch of stuff. The juror has a 28-point affidavit, and the affidavit cites social media, the rage on social media over both the possibility of guilty verdict and the possibility of not guilty verdict inside the jury room.
This is what the juror is putting in their
This is what the juror is saying. The juror is saying they are scared of retribution after being de-anonymized, right?
Right, okay.
So basically this juror is saying, I read the court's order, was scheduled to expire. I submit this affidavit in support of my request. This juror has retained counsel, by the way.
Oh, okay.
This juror recalls testimony from at least one witness who describes being harassed by individuals and her family being harassed because of their involvement in this case. This, of course, is the McCabe testimony referring to Turtle Boy's, quote, harassment of them, which is interesting because... it's not true. But that being said, that's, how would the juror know? The juror does not have knowledge of, stuff beyond what they heard in the courtroom, right? And so...
But the juror's concerns are not unfounded.
Absolutely. Yeah. But during jury deliberations, they could hear protesters outside screaming and yelling, they say. I mean, keep in mind what their perceptions were of this whole thing. I don't blame this person at all. During our jury service, the members would meet at what was supposed to be a secret location to be transported to and from the courthouse. After being discharged from service on July 1st, we were taken by bus back to what was supposed to have been a secret location where we observed what appeared to be members of the media, including photographers. I was so much in fear on my way home that I pulled over to the side to see if I was being followed. Since being discharged, I've read multiple news articles about the case and the attention that it has garnered. There are clearly people who have strong opinions and about the jurors who deliberated over many days. I have seen articles, comments to articles, and postings about the verdict saying some nasty and dangerous things. Some individuals have expressed outrage and anger that the jury did not acquit. Some individuals have expressed outrage and anger that the jury did not find the defendant guilty. Just yesterday, I read an article in the Boston Globe with the headline, Karen Read case ended in a mistrial, but the diehards haven't given up. And then they attached the article. There's a quote from the article. The anger level was a 9 before. Now it's at 11.5. I have seen social media posts that were demeaning of and attacking the integrity of the trial judge. If someone is going to attack a judge, I see no reason why they would not demean and attack verbally and physically someone who sat on the jury. I understand that there are individuals who are upset that the impoundment order was entered and they're actively seeking the identity of the jurors.
But who filed this? Jackson and his...
No. This is actually just Juror Doe. This is the affidavit of Juror Doe that said prompted the impoundment order being filed indefinitely.
Okay.
This is an affidavit filed by a juror asking for the impoundment order to be extended.
Okay, all right.
And it now has been extended indefinitely.
Okay. So we don't know if this is juror A through E. This could be juror F.
This could be literally anyone, right? Basically, in light of the mistrial, there's no end in sight to this irrational behavior, which clearly continues today. Jurors will undoubtedly be subjected to harassment and likely physical confrontations if their names become public. My affidavit in motion should not be interpreted as indicating how I or any other juror voted on this case, or how I or any other juror feel about this case. Every member of the jury is likely to face backlash from a segment of a large portion of the public who intensely followed this case. I wish to remain anonymous, and I bring this motion on behalf of myself and any other juror who does not wish to be identified, regardless of whether or not we agreed during our deliberations. They then say it was an honor to serve on the jury. They say that it was an honor to serve, but they did not anticipate the likelihood of intense public scrutiny and harassment, as we said yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And then finally, they said, if jury names are made public, I would be subject to nonstop requests for comment. I would prefer to not have to respond. However, what I fear is not interviews, but that I will be targeted and harassed because of what I did or did not do in that jury. More importantly, I fear that I will not be able to protect myself or my family. So anyway, so that's the substance of it. And by the way, they don't actually name any of the people that they're specifically saying that they're afraid of here. I do not disagree with anything that this person is saying in here in terms of, what would likely happen if their names were to become public. I don't think that Aidan Carney is going to harass this person. I don't think that anybody in particular, like that who knows? I mean, he probably would write about them. He'd probably reach out for comment. There are people on social media that are fucking bananas. And there are people on social media who are pro Karen Read who are fucking bananas. And there are people who are on social media who are anti Karen Read who are fucking bananas. And there are people in person who are fucking bananas. If I served on this jury, I would want to remain anonymous. I would. Okay. I would. Yeah. Unless I wanted to come out publicly and say, I voted not guilty on these two charges. And I mean, that would be a huge decision though. But I would understand it would be a decision I'd be making for my whole family, not just for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like we said yesterday, like I can't fault the jurors or the judge for like coming to this decision. I'm just sitting here kind of wondering again what in the typical course of events the law is in the Commonwealth as far as releasing the identity of jurors, and how far removed from the normal course of action are we here? Is it like, no, we always do, and we always release the names, and then I feel like that information can be withheld for an extended period of time, but probably not forever. I'm also not crazy about things like what could be looked at like as secret arrests or secret jurors.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's actually some, I have an answer for you.
Okay.
In 2015, the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court said that all jurors' names are to be included in public record prior to or at the conclusion of a trial. The decision came down to an appeal from the 2014 case of Commonwealth v. Nathaniel Fujita, in which Fujita was brought up on charges of murder and first degree and assault. So it looks like it is typical that they are made public. Let's see, Massachusetts Supreme Court rules on that in 2015.
I would give some leeway as far as to delaying it, because maybe it does need to cool down a little bit, but keeping it secret in perpetuity is probably not in the public interest.
Yeah. No, I agree, but I think indefinitely means for now, right? I mean, isn't that generally what that means?
Yeah,
It doesn't mean
and
forever.
I understand, like, I don't know if this juror is embellishing their concerns or whatever, but, as far as, I find it unlikely that someone would be a target of physical violence for, being on a hung jury, but, that's just me.
So basically what the court said is only on judicial finding of good cause, which may include a risk of harm to jurors or in the integrity of their service, may such a list be withheld.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So there actually is a clause for that. But jury lists are to be made public. The public's long-term interest in maintaining an open judicial process as embodied in the United States Constitution and Massachusetts common law requires that a list identifying the names of jurors who have been impaneled and rendered a verdict in a criminal case be retained in the court file of the case and be made to the public in the same manner as other court records. So yes, it is standard for them to be made public unless the judge finds good cause, which it seems that she has here.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the answer.
There you go.
All right. Do you feel satisfied now?
I am satisfied. I'm satisfied.
Okay. Well, obviously Monday is the status hearing at the court. Looks like the court. I saw a court docket that made it look like Bev Cannone was not the judge in that status hearing. We'll see, but we'll see. Who knows? That it was posted the other day, and someone posted the screenshot of that. But that may change, as we know.
Sometimes there's like a magistrate that handles kind of logistic of that. Yeah.
Exactly. And it looked like Cannone was actually assigned to a different case that day because she's a trial judge.
That's true. Yeah.
So we'll see, and we will be back if there's any news around that. And thanks for participating in another Readathon, Kevin.
Partners in Crime Media.